Hi, Madeline Lowry, Certified MAP Method Practitioner. Wanted to give you a brief overview of the MAP for Anxiety and Depression program. So this program has been developed for anxiety and depression, but it is also effective for all other negative mood states, including anger, grief, panic, guilt, shame, or any other negative mood state. Is equally effective for any of those. But I will say that the program is most effectively used by choosing one mood state to work with at a time. So, in other words, if you suffer from both anxiety and depression, I would do at least one complete cycle through the program, choosing only one of those mood states. So I would work with anxiety, pick anxiety or depression, and do the entire program, and then assess, whether you feel like you would like to do more work with that same mood state. You can repeat another cycle through the program on that mood state until you feel that it has been sufficiently alleviated, and then move to the other mood state and start the program again. I hope that makes sense. So this program has been organized into a set of sections that you can see here. The first section is it's a welcome section. It gives you some background on the concepts, how to use the program player, and some background information about the MAP method so that you can become more familiar before you jump into the program activities. The second section here is the introduction to MAP. So as it is important, it is essential for every person to do an introductory MAP session before they can engage with a program. That is because every person who is new to MAP has to be initiated to the MAP method, which consists of watching a 15-minute video and then doing your first MAP session, which means you follow along with the video that's provided. It takes 47 minutes to do that MAP session. Once you've done those first two steps, then your subconscious mind is now primed and receptive to the instructions that will be given in the sessions. So please do not skip this step. You cannot jump into week one activities. They will not work for you unless you have been initiated to the MAP method. This is actually a separate program that we are bundling in to this program so that with one purchase, you have everything that you need to get going. Okay, and so once you have been initiated to the MAP method, you can move into week one activities. In week one, we'll be working with events. So if you are working on anxiety, for example, as your topic, then this week you'll be working with memories of events that caused you to feel anxious. Each week has a little overview of what you'll be doing that week, the activities, the concepts, and then there are some instructions for how to do the MAP session for the week. There is the actual video of the MAP session, and then there are always resources, explanations, supportive practices, concepts, and information about how the MAP method works to address the topic of the week. And you'll find all of those after doing the session. So each week we are doing the session 3 times. So you'll do this MAP session for events 3 times, 3 different memories. After you've done it the first time, I would say go ahead and familiarize yourself with all the other resources and things that are available for that week so that you can have these to use and to work with during the week. And then you'll just you'll just go back to this lesson to do that session again 2 more times. So after week 1 events, you will move to week 2, which is about thoughts. It's specifically negative, uh, repetitive thoughts that have to do with the emotion that you're working on. So, again, if you're working on anxiety, what are the negative, repetitive thoughts that you have that are associated with a feeling of anxiety? That's what we'll be working on in this week. So, you'll see that it's laid out much the same way. We have the overview, we have the instructions for how to do the session itself, and then the additional resources and lessons. At the end of each week, there's a little assessment of, am I ready to move on to the next stage? Now, we've titled these week 1, week 2, and week 3, and so forth. That's, you can think of those as stages rather than weeks, since this is a self-paced program. I mean, the normal pace of the program would be to do 3 sessions per week. But not everyone will have the time to do that, and not everyone will have the time to do that consistently. So it's perfectly fine to move through the program more slowly or more quickly. So you can think of these as stages. As long as you complete all of the activities for stage 1 before you move to stage 2, right? This program is laid out in a very particular order. So it's necessary for you to do all of section 1 before you move to section 2, and all of section 2 before you move to section 3. In week 3 or section 3, we work on triggers. So these are negative associations that we have to the emotion we are working with. If you're working with anxiety, these are triggers for anxiety. Again, the same structure. You will do the map session for triggers 3 times. You can certainly do it more than that. If you know that there are more than 3 kinds of triggers that trigger your anxiety, absolutely, you could do 5 sessions on triggers before you move on to the next week. You could do 7 sessions on triggers before you move on to the next week. So 3 is just the minimum. We want you to do 3 sessions before you proceed to the next section of the program. In week 4, we'll be working with intentions. So while the first 3 weeks have been focused on alleviating, the negative emotions that you feel around certain memories, certain kinds of thoughts, or certain associations or triggers that you have, week 4 is more about reinforcing the experience you want to be having. So week 4 will be working with intentions for the emotional response that you want to have. And again, there's a session to do here. You'll do that 3 times, and then here are all the resources and ancillary materials. At the end of week 4, there is a check-in. You will rate yourself on how you feel you are doing with respect to the emotion that you chose to work with through your first cycle of the program. Depending on where you are, you may choose to repeat this cycle, another cycle, for the same mood state. Maybe your anxiety is better, but you haven't achieved your goals yet. You are perfectly welcome to go ahead and repeat the cycle, another cycle of the program for anxiety. If you are someone who wants to work with more than one mood state, you may choose to switch to a different emotion. And in that case, I would say start the program from the beginning again. You can skip the introduction to MAP. You only have to do that once ever. But yes, go back and review those basic concepts before you come into the week 1 section and do those activities again. I hope that's clear. This program is designed to be used alongside live map sessions. So if you notice that your progress is starting to plateau, if you notice that maybe some memory has come up for you, some trauma memory has come up for you in a session that you do in the program, and the program sessions themselves are not enough to bring down the emotional intensity around that, you may choose to sign up for a live session with a practitioner, and we can work on that specifically. So even though, we have these program sessions, we can't anticipate everything with program sessions. And so live map sessions are a nice adjunct because they are completely personalized. You're working with a practitioner over Zoom video conference. And so this allows us to address, any unique factors that may have come up for you that may not be, um, may have been anticipated by the program sessions that are included here. For anyone who is wanting to use this program with a teen, an adolescent, or a mature child that maybe has anxiety or depression or another negative mood state. The way I recommend doing this is for the parent or the guardian to do one full cycle of the program. Pick a negative mood state and work through the entire program yourself so that you have a complete understanding of what is involved. And then you'll be in a much better position to judge whether this is appropriate for your child or your teen. And if you decide that it is, then your child should do it under your supervision. So, depending on their age and their stage, this may mean you doing the sessions with them, sitting with them, and doing them together. Or for an older teen, that may not be necessary, but still doing it under your supervision. All right. So, I hope that that has provided you with a bit of an overview of how this program is structured and how to use it. Thanks for listening.